purple, but it's like it's got some blue in it. It looks very nice, but this is definitely not the color. He's more circular. You know, he's got like a circle kind of body instead of this. I don't know, it's like a thin thing right here, you know? So yeah, so the shape, they got it right, but they just didn't get it this right. So yeah, so he's very flat. He's not flat in the movie, but this makes him look flat. He doesn't ever take his gun off, so I think he just has a gun arm in this, I don't know. He does have this knife. So yeah, so he didn't do much, but he was cool looking. I will say that, very cool looking. So yes. So now on to some things I didn't like about the movie. What I just watched, I didn't watch all, but I watched some of, like, FX Fans' video, review of, the movie, and, he said, you know, how there was a couple scenes where just, you know, something happens, and it doesn't explain why it happened, and you just have to figure it out in your head, and, he is right about that. There are a lot of those scenes. They're nothing too drastic, but there are those scenes. What I'm talking about is, like, all of a sudden, you know, what is it? Sentinel and Optimus go into the desert, and he's in his fire truck mode, and they just go into the desert. But if you don't have the toys or anything, you wouldn't know that Sentinel Prime's a fire truck. So then you kind of just have to put it in your head that he's a fire truck. And it would have been very easy if they had him just scan a fire truck and turn it into a fire truck. Another thing is in the final battle at the beginning of it, Optimus like loses his trailer again. He keeps losing his trailer, and he's like, oh, I've got to get my trailer, and then you don't see him for a long time, and then at the end he just comes out with the jetpack, you know, and he's just flying. So where'd he go? You know, it would have been easy to just show him, grab his trailer, transform, maybe do something in the meantime, kind of fight a few of the just generic Decepticons, you know, or they could have done that, but they didn't. Another thing, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff, because there was a lot of that type of stuff. Another thing for me was, all of a sudden Megatron was on top of the building with Sentinel, and I'll get into that, why, but he was on top of the building with Sentinel, you know, and they're talking and everything, and then all of a sudden, just, at the, for a long time, you don't see him, you just see Sentinel on the top of the building, and then, like, at the end, you see Carly go up to Megatron, and he's just kind of just sitting there, just at the bottom of the building, just sitting there. It was like, what happened there, you know? There was a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm sure there was some more, but I'm missing it, because I had a lot to say. I had a lot of examples, and only 3 was not at, so I'm sure I'm missing something, so very sorry, but yeah, so a lot of that kind of stuff, sloppy stuff, but you could figure it out on your own, but should you really have to? You know, that's the kind of thing. It's not that bad, but it definitely could have been better. So there you go. Now on to Sentinel. I didn't expect this at all. Sentinel was actually a bad guy. I don't know if that happened in G1. I'm not a G1 fan, but I guess Sentinel was a bad guy in this, which was very strange. He started out as a good guy, and then pretty early he turns into a bad guy. Which I didn't expect, as I said, and and I expected him at the end to kind of turn nice or just realize that he made a mistake or something, but he doesn't. He stays bad to the end. He says, you know, he's sorry, but then Prime shoots him. So yeah, so it was pretty crazy. He did use the shield. Only in the final battle scene did he use a shield. This he used throughout the movie. So yeah, he does get some good fighting scenes in. At one point at the end, he's fighting Optimus, like Bumblebee, Ratchet. He's fighting everybody, which was pretty neat. And so yeah, so he was really working with Megatron throughout the whole movie, pretty much. And yeah, so now on to the deaths of characters. All the characters that died, I will bring their toy out right here. And I'm not gonna bring out, like, the Decepticons, because you know a lot of the Decepticons died. I'm talking about the main characters that died, because a lot more people died, but I'm talking about the main characters. So yeah, so you could probably guess the Shockwave, and I thought, you know, Shockwave would die. I thought maybe Sentinel would too. I expected those 2 deaths, but I didn't expect Optimus Prime to be killing both of them. So yeah, so the people that died are Sentinel Prime, Shockwave, Starscream, Megatron, and Ironhide, as well as this one kind of Autobot scientist kind of looking guy. We don't... Whoa. we don't have a toy for him or anything like that, so I couldn't bring his toy out. But he wasn't that main of a character, so it really doesn't matter. But so yeah, these are the main characters that died, very surprisingly, and kind of surprised at who killed them all. Sentinel, Prime killed Optimus killed Sentinel, Optimus killed Shockwave, Optimus killed Megatron, the main character, Sam. Sam killed Starscream, and Sentinel killed Ironhide very early in the movie. So if you're a big Ironhide fan, he's not in the movie very much. He fights the Dreads, and pretty much after that, Sentinel brings out a gun, kills him, shoots him like 3 times, seriously. And he just kind of rusts and just decays away. So yeah, Intense did not expect this, did not expect Megatron or Starscream to die. I heard that this might be the last one. I heard that it was going to be the last one for the main character and the director. I didn't think that they really wrap it up like the last one, because they killed every single Decepticon. There was not one Decepticon left, because there was a couple of those generic Decepticons in other cities and in other places of the world, but those guys aren't going to take over. They destroyed Cybertron at the end. That's completely dead. The leaders of the Decepticons are dead, so pretty much every Decepticon is dead. There are no more Autobots that can come, because everyone that was on the moon came, and everybody that was on Cybertron died. So it was a lot of that. So a lot of deaths in this movie, and they wrapped it up, which I did not expect them to do, but they really wrapped it up. And quick, just a little update. So I used Roadbuster's cannon on here. It looks fantastic. If you have this figure, recommend Roadbuster. The Human Alliance's Roadbuster's cannon. It looks great on him. So there you go. So that's just a little side. Starscream, he was a wimpy kind of guy. He had many chances to kill both Carly and Sam, but kind of just gave him up. He was kind of just playing with them, talking to him, and just throwing stuff up, just kind of following them until they got to the point where Sam stabs a bomb in his eye. So yeah, he had plenty of chances to shoot him, throw a bomb at him, step on him. He had plenty of chances to do that, but he gives up every time. He was, and his little voice, I hate his voice. He had such an awesome voice in the first one. Second and third one, he's got this like wimpy, weird voice, so I really don't like his voice, but yeah. At the end, the end battle scene after Prime kills Shockwave, Prime goes and fights with Sentinel, and then Carly convinces Megatron that, Optimus is gonna take over, and Megatron's not gonna have anything, and so at the end there, Sentinel's got a Prime on the floor. He's got the knife to his throat. He's ready to stab it in, but instead Megatron decides to kill or wound almost to death Sentinel. If he just waited like 1 second for Sentinel just to stab Prime and then go after Sentinel, he would have won. Megatron would have been the last one standing, but instead he saved Optimus, killed Sentinel, and then he proposes to Optimus, let's team up, what would you be without me and everything? And then, Optimus says, let's find out, and then kills Megatron quite brutally. Megatron, sorry, I can't say that word, but Megatron didn't do anything. He kind of just took it. Prime kind of just took out an axe, stabbed in his chest, and then stabbed him again in his face, and then pulled the axe, thus for ripping his head off and his neck complete off. So he brutally kills him. And then Sentinel's on the floor. He's like, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to do what was best. And as he's saying that, Optimus is picking up Megatron's gun. He shoots Sentinel and then shoots him again in the face and completely kills him. I did not expect that. Optimus really got quite badass there, and he's doing all this with one arm, mind you. So he is really just quite badass at the end, really just intense, and almost to the point of evil, I guess you could say. So that was pretty cool. Sentinel, I had something to say about him. I don't know, but great fight at the end. It was really nice. It kind of goes fast, which isn't fantastic. Like the whole battle scene at the end lasts like an hour. It's long, but then the climax at the end with Megatron, Starscream, and Megatron, Optimus, and Sentinel, that goes like really fast. But the whole entire battle scene is long, which is awesome. The movie is let me talk about the records real quick. The records were kind of neat. They didn't do that much. They shot a lot, but you didn't see them like do much. They didn't turn up until like almost to the big battle scene at the end. So the records are kind of cool. They were like Irish or some kind of accent, but they looked cool, but they didn't do much. Leadfoot is very stocky and short, much more than I expected, and Roadbuster is shorter than I thought. This guy turned out to be the looking of what I thought he looked. He looked and was as tall. He seemed to be exactly what I was expecting. He had the claws throughout the movie. He did not talk at all. Leadfoot and Roadbuster talked a lot. This guy didn't say a word throughout the whole movie. Don't know why. They didn't address it at all. I don't know what happened with that. So yeah, they didn't do a whole lot of fighting. They kind of cut Prime down. Prime got like tangled in these wires, and for some reason Prime couldn't get himself out, so he kind of just stayed there until the wreckers helped him, I guess. So yeah, and then this next thing I want to talk about is the Dreads. So the scene, before they knew that Sentinel was a bad guy, they were trying to get him to a safe place so that the Decepticons couldn't take him or anything, and then all three Dreads come, they have a big fight, and Sentinel just kind of just drives away, doesn't pay any attention, and they fight with like Ironhide and Sideswipe, and then they kill the Dreads, and then they go, and this next scene is Sentinel becoming the bad guy, which I didn't understand in the slightest bit. The Decepticons had no reason to steal Sentinel. Sentinel was a bad guy. Why did they send the Dreads? I don't know. It seemed to be a waste. As you're watching it the first time, you don't notice it because you don't know that he's a bad guy. But after when you get home, you're like, well, why did they have to come and take him? He was a bad guy anyway. So, it didn't make any sense. Even if they were like trying to send reinforcements or something to help Sentinel, why wouldn't they send the Dreads like after Sentinel became the bad guy so that Sentinel and the Dreads could fight together? I don't understand that. That seemed that was a total movie mistake because there was no reason for the Dreads to come and get Sentinel. So very strange. Anything else? Barricade was in it. He dies. That scene where everybody was like, was that Barricade or Sideways? Like when we first got the trailer, turned out to be Sideways because Barricade did die earlier. So it was Sideways for all of you that were wondering that. Also with the Dreads were all different. I thought that they were going to be all just standing up straight, kind of Dreads with the same dreadlocks, but they weren't. But just with different face, different features, but they weren't. They were different. They all had different dreads. This guy had short gold ones. The next guy had these long metal ones. Two of them standed up while one of them was like a dog. It was very strange. Didn't like all the inconsistencies with this. And one update, you're supposed to have his arms like this. But I realized that if you move it like this, it looks a lot better, and it makes his arm look like less of a door. So I definitely recommend, because you're supposed to do it like this, just to rotate them like this, it looks a lot better. So there you go. So very cool. So there you go. So now with the rest.